Welcome. It's a pleasure to be speaking with Wayne Cafran of 11 Canterbury. We're talking today about sort of transitioning from full-time work into a variety of activities. Wayne has an interesting background, a retired partner of KPMG. He's been on public boards, private boards, and has his own executive coaching business. So, Wayne, what is coaching? I seem to hear that everybody and their brother thinks they can coach. What is it, and what kind of training do you need, or what makes you successful?
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Dan, with you, and thank you for the time and the opportunity. So, first of all, let me just say I had a great career at KPMG, and today my life is balanced, more balanced than it's ever been with work, with family, with friends, and things that I want to do, and coaching being one of them. And you're right, Dan. There is a lot of misconception about coaching. In fact, when I was thinking about going into coaching, there was like, what is it? I asked that same question. And so what I tend to say is really around coaching is, first of all, you need to be certified to be a certified coach. So a lot of coaches call themselves coaches, but they're not certified. And there's it's called the International Coaching Federation. It's a standardization. It's a credentialing organization that really credentials companies that do the training. So if one wants to be a coach, make sure it's ICF certified as well. But what I do with coaching is, it really is meeting the client where they are today and what do they want to accomplish and what's holding them back from accomplishing what they want to be doing. So it's really in the present. It's the who, it's the what. And coaches really challenge, they inspire, and again, they meet the client where they are. And they don't give out answers. It's not therapy, you're not looking backwards. It's not mentoring where you're the mentor and your life experience, because coaching, the answers always lie with the client. As a coach, your job is to get it out of them. And so it could be sustainable. And that's the best I can sort of summarize on a coaching, what it is and the certification requirements.
That's really interesting. It seems to me it may be a bit of a challenge, but certainly different to go from consulting, where you kind of are telling people how to do it, to coaching, where you're really trying to draw it out
Mhm.
from people.
Yes. Yes, that's a great. So when I was a consultant for 30 plus years, it was always, we got hired for the toughest things and people looked for our experience and recommendations and things like that. Coaching is a little different, is a lot different, because the biggest asset that you have as a coach is these two things: your ears. You've got to be an active listener, right? And so it's listening more, staying curious more, asking more questions. Also, the other thing that's really important, because I think this is different than consulting, is that you need to know your own biasness going in as a coach. And you need to know what your limiting beliefs are, because you can't really coach someone if you have biasness, judgments, assumptions, and things like that. And you need to know what they are. In fact, and I'll just be very honest with you, when I was going through certification, is the first thing I received was a 50-page document about questions about my life as a child, as a, what were my favorite movies? Why were they my favorite movies? And things like that. And I was like, why are they asking me the questions? I'm a coach. No, because you need to have a sense of who you are and what you're all about before you can coach someone else. Very different than consulting.
That's very interesting. It's just one of the key things that it seems to be important is really learning about yourself, which is a major part of making a transition from working full time to this kind of group of activities that you have.
I love coaching. Coaching has changed my life because I went through that my own self, the perspective of who I am. And in that, I learned a lot about myself. It was hard. I'm going to tell you, it was probably the most difficult education I went through in certifications through the coaching. But I came out of it a better person, personally. And what I love about coaching is, yes, it's flexible. As someone who's retired, it's a flexible type of position where I could scale up or scale down. But the biggest thing, it's like, to me, it is like a Christmas. Like, it's better to give than to receive. When I speak with someone and we get that aha moment, what has been holding them back? Again, we talked about assumptions, beliefs, and they come up with it and say, yes, this is what I need. This is what's holding me back. That's the aha moment. I mean, you can't get any better than that as a human being or as a coach when you're working with them.
It's interesting. It reminds me of something, certainly not at the level that you're doing, but it reminds me when I was working at Georgia Tech as a student, helping people correct their programs. And I discovered the best way to do it was to ask questions, what is this supposed to do? And most of the time, if you ask the questions, eventually they would say, there it is. Thanks for finding it. And I had no clue what the problem was. But I think getting people to think about it and to talk with you is a skill that's really, really important in this coaching. Is there something you wish you had known before you started?
I went through this journey as I'm going to take it as it comes. What I realized, though, if you really want to make a lot of money, probably this is not the profession, right? If you're in it about how much do I want to make, and I need a lot of money, this is probably not the profession, unless there are many folks that make a lot of money, but they do it because they are selling and doing webcasts, podcasts, and things like that. I did all my selling when my former career. I don't want to do that now. So a lot of my work is through referrals and some organizations, great organizations I work with that they go out and really get the clients, and I do the coaching, which I also love as well.
It sounds like you found something that really gives you a chance to make an impact, to do something you love, and to take control of your time and do it when and where you want.
Yeah.
Sounds like a wonderful experience.
It really is. And I just, to be a little more tangible, it's really about changing the mindset with someone. And so I'll give you just a quick example is, we call it the gremlins. This is what's holding someone back. I am not good enough. I'm not smart enough, whatever. You just fill in the blank. We help change the mindset instead of saying that is, we talk about the things that I have accomplished already, the good things I've done, and what was the things that I did to make sure that was a good outcome. It was a good process. So we're changing the mindset of people that are just getting stuck in terms of moving it to the next direction. And I work leaders and in the business side of it. And really, the other thing I love about it is that it keeps me in the business and relevant in the business. And when we talk about business, we know about old technology, the growth of technology, but it always comes down to connection with the employees, with your colleagues. And how do we build connections, trust amongst teams? In the era we're in AI, technology growth, still gets down to connections, and coaches make a really good impact on leaders that are trying to improve all that stuff.
Well, thank you very much. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed, as always, Wayne, speaking with you, and look forward to future discussions.
Thanks, Dan.